quiet Carpenter takes in a crashed Lady Pilot 1. Rainy night. Unaware she'll ignite his son's forgotten dream. "I didn't mean to scare your boy," she said, soaked head to toe, shivering on the porch. I hadn't even said a word yet. Just stood there in the doorway, holding the shotgun like an idiot, trying to figure out if this woman was real or something out of my imagination. Because who the hell crash lands a plane in a storm like this, in the middle of nowhere? My son Jesse peeked out from behind my leg, eyes wide. He hadn't said a word either. Not since we heard the bang, not since the lights flickered, not since she stumbled up the dirt path with a busted arm and blood down her temple. I need somewhere dry. For tonight. I looked at her. Mud on her boots, wind tearing through her coat, pain written all over her face. But there was something else too. Something steady. Like she wasn't scared. Just waiting. Like she'd done this before. And even though my gut was screaming, "Don't do it, Ethan," my mouth went ahead and said, "Yeah, come in." She didn't thank me, just nodded, stepped inside, and sat down on the bench by the stove like she belonged there. Jesse still hadn't moved. I knelt down and said, "It's okay, buddy. She's just had a rough landing, that's all." And the way he looked at her then, like maybe she'd fallen out of the sky for him. She said her name was Alex. No last name, no explanations, just Alex. Like that was enough. Maybe it was. Jesse finally sat across from her at the kitchen table, hugging that old model airplane he built with his mom before she passed. He hadn't touched it in months. Now he wouldn't let go of it. "You fly real planes?" he asked, voice barely above a whisper. Alex smiled, and something shifted in the room. Not big, just enough. "Most days," she said. "Not usually into thunderstorms, though." That part was a surprise. Jesse gave a tiny, crooked grin, the first one I'd seen in weeks. I poured her a cup of coffee. She didn't ask for it, but her hands were shaking. She took it without a word, fingers brushing mine just for a second. Calloused, rough like mine. But there was something else. Steel. Stillness. "You got someone coming for you?" I asked, trying to sound casual. She stared out the window at the storm, still ripping the trees sideways. "Not anymore. Didn't push after that. Didn't need to." I'd heard grief when it sat at my table before. Later, when Jesse went to bed, he whispered, "Dad, do you think she could teach me?" "Teach you what?" I asked. He held up the little plane. How to really fly. I didn't answer. I didn't know how. But across the room, Alex looked up from the couch, met my eyes, and gave the smallest nod, like maybe she did. The next morning, the storm had passed, but the air still carried that heavy, wet silence only rain leaves behind. I expected Alex to be gone. She wasn't. She was outside, one arm in a makeshift sling, inspecting the wreckage of her plane. What little of it hadn't been swallowed by trees and mud. Jesse was right behind her, asking questions faster than I could stop him. "What's that part called? Why'd it fall like that? Could you teach me how to land one without crashing?" She laughed at that last one. First time I'd heard it. Not forced, not polite, just real. "You sure you're not scared of flying?" she asked him. "Nope," Jesse said, all proud. "I'm scared of falling, but I still want to learn." I stayed on the porch, watching. Something about the two of them, I don't know, fit somehow. Like the world had forgotten to give Jesse a map, and Alex had just shown up with a compass. Later, I found her in the shed, tightening bolts on one of Jesse's old wooden gliders. She looked up and said, "You don't trust me, do you?" I shrugged. "I don't know you." She nodded. Fair enough. There was a pause. Then she said, I lost a student last year. Mid-flight failure. Kid was 17. I didn't say anything. Just leaned against the doorframe and let that truth settle. I stopped flying after that. Until yesterday. And now? She looked toward the open sky, where the clouds were finally breaking. Now I think maybe I was supposed to land here. The days stretched longer after the storm, like time itself was catching its breath. Alex stayed. Not because she had nowhere else to go, though maybe that was part of it, but because Jesse lit up around her in a way I hadn't seen since his mother died. The kid followed her like a shadow, asking everything, touching every broken part of her wrecked plane like it was holy. He even started waking up early again, said he had training. Alex didn't humor him. She respected him. Taught him the names of every control surface on a wing. Showed him how wind could carry or break you, depending on how you faced it. She told him failure was just another kind of flight pattern. One evening, I found them in the field behind the barn. Jesse had a new glider, bigger, sleeker, and Alex was helping him adjust the tail rudder. He's smart, she said, not looking up. Learns fast, reminds me of someone. Who? I asked. She hesitated. Someone I couldn't save. That night, Jesse left the dinner table without finishing his plate. Ran outside with his sketch pad. I followed, curious. He'd drawn something wild, a two-seater glider, half wood, half dream, with JA1 written across the side. J for Jesse, A for Alex. He wants to build it, I told her. She smiled, eyes glassy. Then we'd better start tomorrow. I stood there a long time, watching her watch my son. She wasn't just teaching him how to fly. She was helping him believe he still could. They built it piece by piece, garage sawdust, salvaged metal, forgotten dreams pulled from storage and memory. Jesse became someone else. Focused, driven, alive. Every spare hour, he worked beside her. Sanding, shaping, learning how balance worked, how tension made things lift, how trust was the most important part of flight. I watched it happen, like someone watching spring return to a tree they'd already buried. But nothing good ever comes without a shadow. One afternoon, a black SUV rolled up the dirt road. No one ever came out this way unless they meant to. Two men stepped out, clean, military posture, suits under windbreakers. You, Alex Carter? One of them asked, holding a badge that didn't need explaining. She didn't flinch. Was. You were listed MIA by your agency after an unauthorized departure. We need to debrief you. Jesse was watching from the barn door. His fingers tightened around his notebook like it might shield him. Can it wait? I asked, stepping forward. They're building something important here. They looked at me like I was furniture. Alex turned to Jesse. Go finish the wing, she said gently. No, he whispered. Not without you. I'll be back. She said it like a promise, like it mattered. And just like that, she was gone. That night, Jesse didn't say anything. Just sat in her chair, staring at the unfinished glider. I didn't know how to fix it. I could build houses, fix roofs, split firewood, but this I couldn't do. So I did the only thing I could. I picked up her wrench. I don't know much about wings, I said, but I know how to finish what we start. His eyes welled up. Then let's fly, he whispered. We worked like time owed us something. Jesse measured twice, cut once. I followed his lead now. Somewhere along the way, the boy had become the builder, and I, just the hands helping him reach. But he didn't smile much anymore. Not since Alex left. Days passed, then a week. No word, no call, just a sky full of silence. One night, I found Jesse in the barn. sitting beside the unfinished glider, notebook open in his lap. He didn't look up. She said she'd be back, he murmured. She meant it. You don't know that. I don't, I admitted. But I believe it. He didn't say anything. Just stared at the sketch like it might disappear if he blinked. Then, on a Thursday morning that started like any other, we heard it. Not thunder, not rain, a low hum, steady, familiar. We ran outside, our hearts rising faster than our feet. There she was, a silver biplane, old but proud, sweeping down over the hills, sunlight glinting off its wings. It dipped low, tires kissing the grass in a smooth landing that kicked up dust and wonder all at once. The engine died. The silence returned. She stepped out, goggles perched on her head, hair a wind-tossed mess, grease on her hands, and that half-smile Jesse had been carrying in his chest like a secret. I had to call in a few old favors, she said, brushing off her coat. Hope you didn't finish without me. Jesse didn't answer. He just ran to her and held on like the wind might take her again. I didn't cry, but I looked away just long enough to pretend I hadn't almost started. And behind them, in the morning light, their wings waited, ready.